Reading Rocket!
Disney Pixar Inside Out 2, the Junior Novelization, Chapter 14. Anxiety hunched over the console, quivering with anticipation. The massive brainstorm had flooded headquarters with ideas. The deluge had been so intense the emotions had barely been able to catch all the ideas, which were collected in buckets around their feet. But it had all been worth it. Anxiety now had a big idea. Coach is right. Riley isn't ready, but we're so close to a new Riley who is. This is what we're missing, she said, plugging the big idea into the console. We show them we're a firehawk who will do whatever it takes. The bulb in the console lit up. Riley had accepted the idea. Riley slipped into the locker room, nervously glancing around. She didn't want to have to explain herself to the other players. But the room was empty. The rest of the girls were still back at the dorms, probably sleeping, what Riley should have been doing. But with anxiety driving, sleep was out of the question. Riley pulled out a large bag of red sports drink powder and dumped the entire contents into a plugged bathroom sink. She added hot water and several squirts of hair conditioner from the shower dispenser, mixing it into a thick red paste. Riley took a strand of her hair and smeared the thick homemade hair dye on it. She waited a bit, then rinsed out the paste. She lifted her head and looked in the mirror. A bright red streak ran through her hair. It had worked. Finally, we're one of them, cheered Envy. Anxiety gave Envy a high five. Then she called up to Sadness, who was still suspended in a bucket. What do you think, Sadness? Well, Awesome, Anxiety said, jumping with excitement. Red is really our color, Envy added. Sadness looked away. For what felt like the 100th time, she wished Joy was there. Joy would know what to do. Flipping her hair back from her face, Riley exited the bathroom, just as Grace and Bree walked in. They stared at Riley's hair. Then they turned away from her. Okay, it's giving jealousy. I'm sorry, said Envy. They wouldn't know cool if it hit them in the face, added Ennui. Riley saw Val and the rest of the Firehawks enter the locker room. They also looked surprised to see Riley's red hair streak. Hey, Michigan, you rockin' the red, huh? Val asked after a beat. I hope it's okay. I know I'm not officially a Firehawk yet, but I figured since we're on the same team today, we should match, right? Riley babbled. Lack of sleep was making her feel jittery. Val looked at her closely. Yeah, that's fine. Did you sleep last night? No, how could I? Big game day, Riley replied. The other Firehawks smirked. You mean the camp scrimmage? One of them asked. You're all good, okay? I'll see you in your zone, Val told Riley. Get ready to score some goals. Yeah, I will, Riley replied. Anxiety smiled. It was everything she had hoped for. The Firehawks were accepting Riley as one of them. Now Riley just had to play flawlessly in today's scrimmage game. The girls headed out onto the ice. Trapped in headquarters, Sadness gazed out the window. With the scrimmage about to start, she just hoped Joy and the other emotions would arrive soon. But there was still no sign of them. Anxiety continued to unveil her plan. Val scored 2 goals in this scrimmage to become a Firehawk, Anxiety explained. You know what's better than 2? 3. 3? I was just about to say that. We were about to say the same thing at the same time, Envy said admiringly. Then Anxiety revealed 3 hockey goal lights mounted together in a row. The lights were off for now, but each time Riley scored a goal, a light would turn on to keep track of her progress. Ennui joined them on the console. But how are we gonna score 3 goals? She asked. The new Riley will handle anything, Anxiety said, holding up an orange memory sphere that she had removed from the memory wall. And I think this is the finishing touch. I'll be right back. She started toward the elevator. Embarrassment and Sadness were silent. Sadness sneaked a look at Embarrassment. He looked as worried as she felt. Joy and the other emotions were exhausted. They had been walking around cliffs that felt endless. Headquarters felt an impossible distance away. An uncertainty began to fill the air. They just hoped they could make it back in time. "Come on, we're so close," Joy said, almost on the other side of the huge ridge. "The sense of self is just on the top of that." She stopped moving. "Mountain," she finished, staring. Only it wasn't a mountain. They were looking at a massive pile of memory spheres. Thousands upon thousands of them. They seemed to stretch upward for miles. Anger, fear, and disgust turned to Joy. "That is a lot," Fear observed. "This is more than I remember sending back here," admitted Joy. Disgust recognized a memory on the ground. "When she failed that math quiz." "Yeah, and breaking Grandma's favorite plate? Thank goodness these aren't a part of her," Joy added. The other emotions agreed. They began to scramble up the colossal mound. It was a nearly impossible task. Their feet continued to slip on the round memory spheres. Finally, after what felt like an endless struggle climbing up the steepest part, the emotions made it to the top of the mountain of memory spheres. There, they spotted Riley's glowing sense of self buried under the discarded memories. They had found it. Joy unearthed the sense of self. She picked it up and heard Riley's voice. "I'm a good person." But this time, it sounded different. The voice was fading. There was no time to waste. They just had to take the tube back to headquarters. Then Riley would be herself again. Down in the belief system, Anxiety stepped off the elevator. She looked around, pausing to take it all in. So much had changed since she first arrived in headquarters, only a short while before. She had already accomplished so much. Anxiety smiled. What a gift she'd given Riley, and she was about to complete it. She tossed the orange memory sphere into the stream. It made a tiny splash, then sank into the water. Anxiety waited, holding her breath. Suddenly, a glowing pulse of energy shot through the belief system. All the beliefs glowed together, brighter and brighter as the surge climbed upward towards headquarters. Anxiety lifted her face in triumph. Yes! It was happening! In the headquarters control room, the surge of energy became a tangle of light. Sadness, envy, ennui, and embarrassment watched as the new sense of self began to form. They waited, holding their breath, to hear the new belief that now formed the core of Riley's being. Anxiety arrived back upstairs just in time to see her masterpiece come together. As the sense of self finally took shape, they heard Riley's voice. I'm not good enough. The emotions looked at each other with alarm. What? Anxiety said, confused. Anxiety did not know what to make of this. Had she done something wrong? Why does it say that? Envy asked. Don't worry, Anxiety insisted. It's just that she knows there's always room for self-improvement. She'll be fine. The other emotions exchanged uncertain looks. In the back of the mind, joy, anger, disgust, and fear were standing under the recall tube. They could see headquarters in the distance. It had turned completely orange. Then they heard Riley's voice. It came from the air all around them. I'm not good enough. Oh no! Were they too late? Joy couldn't give up now, after how far they'd come. They had finally made it to the recall tube. Joy turned on the walkie-talkie. Sadness! We have the sense of self! Bring us back! Silence. Why wasn't Sadness answering? Did she even hear her?
Thanks for listening. Don't forget to like and subscribe for regular uploads. If you have a favorite book you'd like read, go ahead and leave it in the comments. Until next time, friends!